Hey guys, Sean here. I'm here with part two of my X-Men series reviews, and they will be on the two Wolverine movies. But I'm starting with this one mainly because it came out first. So, X-Men Origins Wolverine was released back in 2009 under the direction of Gavin Hood. So basically, the plot of this movie is essentially to trace the origins of Wolverine. Pretty much self-explanatory. Basically, it functions as both a prequel and a spin-off, focusing on the violent past of the mutant Wolverine and his relationship with his half-brother Victor Creed, who will eventually become, Sabretooth. The plot also details Wolverine's childhood as James Hallett, his early encounters with Major William Stryker, and his time with Team X, and the bonding of adamantium to his skeleton. Um, so yeah. So basically, this movie had troubled production due to with delays due to weather and Jackman having other commitments and an incomplete script that was still being written in LA while principal photography rolled in Australia. Conflicts arose between the director and Fox executive, and apparently a work print was leaked online a month before the film's release. Okay, so my general thoughts of this movie. I like the movie. Yeah, it's not perfect. It's nowhere near the first two movies. Nowhere near First Class, and Days of Future Past. I mean, yeah, I will agree with everyone. Like Last Stand, this is one of the weaker movies in the series. But again, like with Last Stand, I still get some enjoyment out of it, even though I do acknowledge it's one of the weaker films in the series. Okay, I'm gonna get some of the stuff I liked out of the way, even though just the stuff I liked is kind of minor, like a little bit small. Though, like such as I do like the way they show how Logan's memory or name Wolverine came to be. It's from a story that his girlfriend told him, which I thought was an interesting way to explain it. Then it was cool to see, and also I thought it was cool seeing Logan and Victor fight in like the wars such as World Wars One and Two, Vietnam, probably I think the Civil War too. I thought that was really cool to see. And also I thought Taylor Kitsch was awesome as Gambit, and him being the first to escape from the 3 Mile Island kind of does match up with X2, where his name does pop up in Stryker's records. I thought it was really cool. And then one issue that people call foul on which is that apparently in this movie Logan volunteers, whereas in the comics he was taken against his will into the Weapon X project. Okay, I can understand people's criticisms. That's all well and good because they're upset some comic book nerds. That's all well and good though. But judging this movie as a prequel to the original films, I don't have a problem with Logan volunteering purely because it was mentioned in X2, where Stryker said, as I recall, it was you who volunteered for the procedure. So Logan volunteering is not a problem for me. But if it's a problem for you guys, that's all well and good. You are entitled to your issues. I'm not going to insult you. Okay? You are all well intended to your issues with this film. That's all well and good. But for me, the volunteer thing was not a problem. That's just me then. And then I liked some of the acting. I thought was cool. Was good acting, good action scenes. Okay, that's all the good stuff. Now we on to the negativity. Orale. Okay. So the Team X members, I'm sorry, but they were basically all glorified cameos. There was no point in them being in this movie, aside from just having the Team X part of Logan's story in the movie. So, yeah. And then you have the first 15 minutes I swear that could have been stretched out in the majority of the film, because within the first 15 minutes of the movie, we have Logan as a child, him and Victor fighting in all the wars, okay, the whole Weapon X thing, and then him leaving Stryker. Okay, that all occurs in 15 minutes. Okay, that 15 minutes you could have stretched into maybe an hour of the movie, and then transitioned into the Weapon X thing. Because according to what I've read online, this movie is basically based on the origin storyline of the comics and the Weapon X storyline. Okay? Those two movies alone you could have made a story out of. Okay? You didn't need this whole, as Stryker says to Logan playing Little House on the Prairie with a school teacher. We didn't need that, to be honest. It was just there, I guess. And then another criticism, the adamantium bullet that Logan gets in the head, his amnesia, that was stupid. You could have just had his amnesia gone in the procedure like it was in the original movies. And on the subject of, like in the original movies, the adamantium procedure scene does not match up with the first two movies, the way it is in those two. You know what I mean? It's just not right. Okay, and then you have Deadpool in this movie. Okay, I'm sure when fans heard Deadpool was in this movie, they were excited. But you know what? Deadpool is basically Barack Obama, where his mouth is sewn shut, and he has these knives on it comes out of his hands, which are basically the swords that he fought with earlier in the movie. And he basically made it into Barack Obama with his mouth sewn shut. Yay! I bet when the Deadpool movie that's coming out in a couple of days was announced, fans threw parties. Okay, and then apparently Brian Cox and Tyler Mane, who played Stryker and Sabretooth in the original movies, were both supposed to come back, but for some reason the studio or whoever wanted different actors, which is understandable. I just wish they could have brought those guys back and used the CGI, to you know what I mean, to de-age them. Logan having bone claws kind of conflicts with the original movies because, one, you have in X2 Stryker saying that you were an animal then, you're an animal now, I just gave you claws. And then you have in X-Men: Last Stand, you have Beast saying, my boy, I've been fighting for mutant rights since before you had claws. So Beast apparently has been fighting for mutant rights since well before he was even born. Okay. Yeah, the whole Bone Claws thing, yeah, it was fine in the comics, but if you're going to do this as a prequel to the original movies, you got to adhere to the previous movies. That's just my opinion. And then you have Cyclops in this movie. Pointlessly mad, but also he's blindfolded just for the sake of continuity, so that he doesn't see Wolverine accidentally. Okay. You know what? There's a lot of problems with this movie I could go into, but I'm not going to really. But also, there's one more thing: is that the Deadpool in this movie, I have said he's Barack Obama, and to edit a quote from a movie I enjoy, an Austin Powers movie, to quote edit them, this is not Deadpool. He is semi-Deadpool. He is quasi-Deadpool. He's the margarine of Deadpool. He's the Diet Coke of Deadpool. Just one calorie, not Deadpool enough. However, I will give Ryan Reynolds credit for playing this character and wanting to do it again and do it right this time around. So I will give Reynolds all the credit in the world. He does good with the job. He does good with the materials given. Just like all the actors do a good job with the material they're given. But sadly, it's not good material, I'll admit. But aside from that, I still find this to be a fun movie, even though it's completely flawed, if that makes any sense. So that was my review for X-Men Origins Wolverine, and I will now do this movie. Bye-bye. Hey guys, Sean here. I'm here with my review of The Wolverine. It's a 2013 movie. It's more or less a sequel to X-Men: The Last Stand. Basically, the production let me go in the cast. Yeah, Hugh Jack. It's directed by James Mangold. Stars Hugh Jackman, Famke Janssen, William Lee, other people I can't really pronounce the word Jesus. I think it's pronounced. One of them is pronounced Rala Fukushima. It's Japanese names. I can't pronounce them worth the shit. Tayo Okamada. Yeah, I can't pronounce the word shit. I suck at it. But yeah, this movie is essentially a sequel to The Last Stand, where Logan travels to Japan, where he's encouraged by, he engages an old acquaintance in a struggle that has lasting consequences. Stripped of his immortality, Wolverine must battle deadly samurai while struggling with guilt. Okay. That's pretty much the plot in a nutshell. So let's see. The runtime of this movie is 2 hours and 6 minutes, produced on a budget of $120 million, and made about $414.8 million. Nice. So yeah. So like I said, this movie takes place after The Last Stand, and so Logan is basically feeling guilty about what he did, I guess essentially a year earlier, which is Last Stand, because it takes place like a year after Last Stand, or so, like 18 months or so after Last Stand. But anyway, anywho, some of the stuff I liked was that Famke Janssen as Jean did not feel like she was shoved in here for no reason. She actually plays an important part in the plot, and that's basically which is to basically help Logan get over the guilt he has of killing her in the last movie. Chronologically, the last movie, I should say. And then another thing I liked was the relationship between Logan and Yukio works as a great brother-sister relationship. They really truly care about each other and look out for each other really well. I just really liked that relationship. And then I thought seeing Logan without his healing factor, I thought was a very interesting way to take the character. It has some great the movie has some good acting, great action scenes, and then the relationship between Mariko and Logan develops gradually. The post-credit scene or mid-credit scene I thought was really good, with seeing Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen try and lure Logan to help set up Days of Future Past, was a really interesting story. That was interesting seeing. And this movie does have some minor connections to X-Men Origins Wolverine, such as Logan having his bone claws in parts of the movie, and then there's a scene where he's knocked unconscious and he's starting to wake up. We can hear Kayla's voice in his head. So there's just some minor connections to Origins I thought were really well done. But for the vast majority, this movie ignores Origins, but I just like those small connective tissues. Some of the stuff I didn't like was I hated the bullshit reasoning for the Silver Samurai armor at the end of the movie, which is basically, it's the Darth Vader armor, pretty much. Because in this movie, the old man named Yoshida passes away, due to being really sick, and yet at the end of the movie, we discover he's really alive, kept alive by the Silver Samurai armor, which is right. This armor right there, and it's basically the same. It basically functions the same as the Darth Vader armor in Star Wars, which was to keep Anakin alive. That's pretty much what the Silver Samurai armor is in a fucking nutshell. And then also the villain's motives are really fucking stupid as hell. That they want Logan's healing factor so that Yoshida can live. Okay, that's bull. And I think there was also some other negatives there's some other stuff I think I didn't really care for, I didn't really notice. But I think this is still a really fun movie. Yeah, I would highly recommend this. And, I would highly recommend this movie. I think it's a lot better than Origins, than this one, but I still enjoy this movie. Though I do think this one's a lot better. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun. This movie actually was originally supposed to be a prequel to the original movies, therefore a sequel to this. But James Mangold said that with the story he wanted to tell, he couldn't do it as a prequel because he didn't want to be burdened by what would, eventually, I guess, come later, which would be the original movies. He didn't want to be burdened by those. He kind of wanted more freedom to tell the story, which I thought was cool. And so it was made into essentially a Last Stand sequel, being the first film in the series to take place chronologically after Last Stand, which I thought was really cool. I thought it was a fun idea. So yeah, it's a great movie, lots of fun, stupid villains basically, good cast, good action scenes, again, stupid villain with stupid motives, but all around, it's a fun, enjoyable movie. If you guys haven't seen it, please do. And sadly, this movie has been retconned by Days of Future Past. These two movies and the X-Men trilogy have been retconned by Days of Future Past. So yeah. So basically, I started with the retcon movies first, because I already reviewed the original trilogy and I just reviewed these two movies. So I basically started with the retcon movies. So I'll catch you guys later.